No, this is like very drunk.
And for us,
But,
we have a small budget.
They count.
And there's no nicer way to say it.
And then you
So whenever we see.
It's enough.
Like, we
It's
say,
like
you're trying to get 8,000, you're talking about like the employees.
break the fingers.
It was, at the most, it would have been 6,000, it's just in money school. Yeah, on the school. I mean, it's a big databases, right? So,
Okay.
it's probably not that. But it's a good That's the thing, because we function as a.
You're there.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody still, I know people come in since I came in, who else needs their agenda? Everybody else okay? All right. Well, thank you for being flexible this morning. I'm gonna sit down rather than stand up in front of you all. For anybody concerned, they're not actually watching us, they will be listening to us, but the recording is actually going to be showing the PowerPoint, so if you haven't attended an EC meeting before, you're not actually on camera all that much.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
Program.
so
Okay.
whenever you're ready, take it away.
9:06, we can come to order. Has anyone had a chance to peruse and approve of the agenda?
I would like to make a motion that we remove something or table it until later.
Okay, what's that?
The breach insurance, because that's mine and I forgot about it. Sorry, slept since then.
I actually have that working
Oh, you got it, okay, good.
presentation.
So are we, which way are we moving?
We will talk about it very briefly, but we're not making any progress on it this week.
I don't think we need to motion that, do we then?
Okay, so we don't need to take it off the agenda.
Fine, that's good with me. Just so you know, I didn't do my homework.
Okay, with that caveat, motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay.
Janet.
Janet.
Jennifer second.
All right, approval of the minutes from our last, from February 14. Are there any discussion or any clarifications or questions or anything, any errors? If so, do we have a motion to
I'll
approve?
move to approve.
Okay, Muskie, second.
Second.
Thank you.
Janet.
Just type Monty and Janet. Can we move to a scene now? All right, committee reports.
All right. Actually, state library report first. That's okay.
Oh, sorry, yeah, there it is. So 4 comes to 4-5 now. All right, sorry, state library report.
Okay, since our last meeting, the executive committee completed an online ballot to approve the membership of Ohio Township. It was approved unanimously, and we've already begun the process of getting them moving along. Since we met last, we also had the Washington Carnegie migration down in southern Indiana for 3 days. Did on-site training, which all of their staff was able to attend. And then we opened up that Wednesday. We were able to go ahead and do the deduplication right away that next weekend without any downtime for anybody. So, and we had 60-some% match rate.
I think so. Most of the records merged into
So
ours.
it went quite well. Yeah, still ahead and in progress. Newcastle, we are nearing the final round data testing stage. They are migrating at the first week in May, so that's coming up very quickly. This is a Class A, so they've got a lot of staff, a lot of patrons, and a lot of data. So we're spending as much time as possible working on getting that cranked around. Knightstown, Spiceland, Walkerton are currently recataloging. We've already done the first data poll with Ohio Township. So we turned that one around as soon as I had the okay we had the first remote poll within a week, so we are making progress with that. I believe the latest numbers I've heard from the library is they are targeting October, so it's not going to be quite as rushed a migration as I initially feared. And then it doesn't show on here because I haven't had a chance to actually get to the library and begin the process yet, but Swayze Public Library is also going to be cataloging in. As you may or may not remember from their application, this is a non-automated library. They've never been automated, so there's going to be a little, the training is going to have to be a little more in-depth.
Where is that located?
Swayze is in Grant County.
And is there an estimated time on the ones that are recataloguing? Are there going to be more cataloging parties?
We're going to need more cataloging parties. We've just had a really, really busy spring.
Sure.
I'm hoping once we get through conference season, I can get some more dates on the calendar so people can actually plan to attend. But yeah, we're learning quickly from the process that really does jumpstart things.
I have a quick question. With Newcastle, Knightstown, and Spiceland, does that bring all of Henry County on the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because Middleton Fall Creek already is.
Great, yeah.
It is.
Western Wayne.
And for us too. so
Absolutely, yeah.
No, I know there's been a lot of crossover patrons that I'm hearing from other Evergreen libraries that are in that area. They're like, yay, finally!
We're gonna have a party at our library.
It's a little scattered right now in that part of the state, and this is going to really bring it all together and kind of make it a solid swath of green. Everything except my home county.
Which is your home house?
Hancock. Okay, ongoing development projects. This is just another check-in from last meeting. The Authority Browse project, the testing's been completed. They are supposed to be integrating the developed product into master. I've not heard that it's actually was part of the 212 drop, but so it probably be the next round, but it has been completed, and MassLink will be looking at how to build upon the foundation that's now in place with that. This is one we were fairly excited about because it's going to be a lot more visible staff side. We're actively testing the user bucket stuff right now. They set up our testing account just a couple of weeks ago. Timing is not great, of course, with it being conference season, but so far, everything I've looked at seems to be really nice. It's doing what we expected to be able to do. So be able to batch update patrons. You can change their expiration dates. You could go ahead and expire their accounts. You can add stat cats all at once. So
Is that gonna be available before we go to the web client?
no, it will be a web client
We'll go to
feature.
the web client.
Yep. Yeah, all current development is towards web client. Yeah. Okay, and then active implementations. Our pilot libraries are working on the worksheets. It's turned out to be a much more complicated setup than I think everybody expected it would need to be because it's very granular. There's a lot of detail that has to be dealt with and decided within the libraries. So we are taking the time to make sure that everybody understands what's supposed to be where and how it works. So we are making progress, and Ohio Township will be migrating in their active acquisitions records. So we're kind of taking it all on at once. Membership fee update. When we met last, still had a couple of libraries that were out, well, more than a couple of libraries that were still outstanding. We have received all of 2017 funds, and since they had to be out by April 1st, the membership fee notices for 2018 went out yesterday. Physical and e-notices both went out in compliance with the bylaws. Evergreen International's next week. Several of you will be there. So looking forward to it. Should be a good time.
It'll be a great time.
Yes. If you haven't gotten sick of listening to me by the end of
there. It's gotta be a great time, right?
I don't know about that.
if you haven't gotten sick of listening to me by the end of today, I will be presenting, as well a couple of Ruth's staff. Yep, they've got a dedicated session, so very exciting. The transiting video disc pilot has taken up an insane amount of time the past few weeks. As soon as the boxes came in, we started processing and sorting and figuring out who was going to get how many and trying to get them to the respective libraries. As you probably noticed from the stacks and piles in the lobby when you came in, we're still in that process. And unfortunately, because of the awkwardly large size of them flat packed, I can't get them through Info Express. But because they're flat packed, they don't take a lot of room to store at your library. So that was the trade-off. It was that or send you all of the boxes folded up already. And for libraries that are getting hundreds of them, I'm pretty sure you'd have strung me up by the nearest something. So we are pushing the flat packs, and I think with a couple more visits and a district conference that all of the pilots will finally have their cases. That said, more and more of the pilot libraries have gone ahead and just opted for full inclusion of their collection. We're making everything available. Right now, it brings us up to about 50% of the libraries that are lending right now have made their entire collection available. The others are experimenting with other volumes. So it is across the board. We are seeing libraries that are managing it themselves, and then anybody that's switching over the full collection, we're doing that for them. So if you talk to someone and they have questions, if they have just a shelving location, say they have a separate shelving location for their nonfiction DVDs and they want to change that, we can do that as well. So we are.
As soon as we had our boxes folded, and we're not doing our full collection. We received and sent things out immediately as soon as we had changed that circulation.
Same here.
So,
We did too. We've already gotten things too. Yeah. Before we got our boxes, we got some DVDs for our patrons. So it's exciting.
Yeah, the first library to really took on that first rush was Jennings County, actually. They were one of the first libraries to make their full collections available. And I think they processed 150 DVDs out that first week. So they deserve extra kudos for stepping up like that. We seem to have gotten through that first rush of old outstanding holds.
Yes.
So we did go ahead and include new cert mods because I know a lot of libraries do like to have that 3-day new upfront. We figured it would probably be a whole lot easier for you to maintain a transiting collection if then the new automatically went to the regular transiting as well. Either way, we've got lots of options for everybody cataloging their DVDs to choose from. Age protection is observed. That was a question I had a lot. Yes, you can have it say it's a transiting circ mod, but as long as it's under age protection, it doesn't go anywhere. And I continue to hear from more libraries, particularly as they're receiving materials going, well, I think we could do this. So it is expanding rapidly. I'll be giving more numbers actually, or more numbers will be presented at the State of Evergreen, but by the last count that I ran earlier this week, it was about 65,000 DVDs have been made available. So it is a good sized portion of the collection. We're about not quite 15% of the DVDs in Evergreen, Indiana are available.
And at any time we can move this. It's just a matter of changing the certain modifier, is that correct?
Yes.
So it's kind of just up to us to.
So this one's
Yeah. If you're going to change a large number, let me know so I can get you a large number of boxes. That's my one concern. I don't want you to be sitting there with, well, we received 3 boxes and opposed, we can start now. If you are going to be starting, particularly if you're going to be putting, a few hundred items out there, probably want to make sure you have 50 boxes available on hand.
Gotcha.
The only other thing that keeps keeps coming back to my mind is the transit bags. At one point, there were the larger bags that I think it was probably ankles that did those, that you could put more things in, and the newer ones, it'd be nice to get some more of those larger bags out there to accommodate. Maybe just pass it on.
I can try.
Yeah, in your hands.
Well, I know the other thing is the in-share program is observing how ours is going and maybe transitioning to offering cases as well,
Oh,
if it goes well. So that's one of those things we're kind of trying to set a good example for how well it can be done. And because I guess, well, I know they tried to do cases a few years back. And the fallout was that because people used a lot of adhesives on them, they fell apart after 1 to 2 uses, and it's determined it was not cost effective. So that's one of the reasons why every time I send something out, I keep saying, no tape. No tape, no glue, no adhesive. Governance election is open for 6 more weeks from today. I've probably got 20% of the ballots back already. Hopefully anybody who wants to meet someone who's up for election will have a chance to do so today. The bylaws amendment went out. I already have a handful of those back. I know that's tied in with board schedules, so that's going to take us a little while, but everyone's got to the end of May to get those back to me. I don't anticipate this one will fail, just because it means less money going out the door if someone needs to make a change. So I can see that being a positively received. The ethics audit is also in full swing. I've got a lot of libraries that have already gotten me their forms. So I tried to allow a lot of time for it. When we did it last time, it was open for 4 months, but with summer reading craziness, I figured I won't be trying to bother everybody probably in late May or June. So we'll just revisit what's left then at the end of summer reading. We talked about the fact that this was upcoming. We do have an upgrade coming Easter weekend. This is a minor upgrade. There's no change that you need to make to your workstations or staff client. It will happen overnight when we're offline, so there should not be any real patron downtime. The big thing that this will be changing is it's going to bring the web client up to the full functionality that's currently available.
The assumption is that it is fully ready to go in 2.12, and you can use it full time all day without any major problems. We will technically be testing that, so hopefully it's all set. And if it's not, feel free to go back to the old client right after you tell me what happened. And we'll be having little micro upgrades frequently after that, where I just fix web client problems as they're submitted and corrected, and we'll keep trying. The goal is at 3.0, you can basically delete the existing client off your computer and never worry about that again.
So is there gonna be maybe like an introductory kind of video or something that we can show to our staff, so that, I mean, those of us who kind of tested it, it's not a big freaking thing, but for people looking at it for the first time, it might be a big.
If I can get it done before the end of May,
It's pretty
yes.
similar.
I mean, just
It is fairly similar. I'm actually going to change the splash page of that too to more closely match the existing client, because all that stuff is in there. It's just it's under menus. In a way, this could be easier for folks. Because actually there's a session next week for those of you not attending. You might know there is a toolbar option in the existing client, which is really hard to configure unless you live with the client all the time. Since it is just using your web browser, you can set up all the bookmarks you like and have basically a search toolbar or cataloging or anything you like, just built in your web browser. So interface-wise, it should be easier. But yes, we will try to come up with some introductory stuff. It just may not be available right away.
Jason, is there a particular web browser that it's optimized for?
Not Internet Explorer or Edge.
Not Internet Explorer or what?
Edge, the new one,
Edge,
Windows 10.
okay. Alright.
Basically, the stuff, the way that it
Chrome or
works.
Firefox would be fine?
Yeah, they do definitely test both of those.
Okay.
Chrome probably has the edge as far as the one that they test the most, but they do use both.
It doesn't seem like it works so great with Safari either.
Safari works as well as it does because it and Chrome are so closely related. But yes, there are not as many Mac users on the development team as I would like. Technically, it works on your phone too, but that's
But,
pretty
you know,
small.
you can use Safari on your phone.
Oh,
It doesn't-
Not well. The menus are very weird.
There's always the Oculus Rift version.
Oh, yeah.
The books are in 3D.
Okay, now we're ready for committee reports.
Okay, who wants to, anybody?
Sarah wants
Well,
to go first.
Sarah,
Yeah. Of course I do.
She's gonna open the door.
I am first alphabetically, so. Okay, so we have established our new regional point person system, I guess. And all the libraries by now should probably have been contacted by their cataloger who is going to be their regional point person. When I contacted mine, I heard back from like a third of them who said, hey, great, for us, nothing. So I'm probably going to, after conference season, try and contact more, like maybe give them a call since, was nothing. But that's, some people were enthusiastic about it. Let's see, we had our spring roundtable. It was very, very well attended. Went well.
I'm still working on the LEUs.
The recertification is going slowly but surely. I'm kind of thinking this is going to be the second half of the year will be the recertification time period for this year at this point.
This is for Cat Boys, right?
Yes, for Cat Ones. Speaking of the training possibilities for the web client, basically my plan is after Easter when we have the upgraded version of the web client, I'm going to start rewriting the cataloging manual to reflect the web client. So that by the time we go fully web client, that'll be ready. Let's see, and we talked about a lot of stuff in terms of serials management at the last meeting, but didn't really make any decisions or anything. And I also have profile permissions. Did we make any decisions about that? Remember?
We talked about adding a cat free, but I think the decision was we were in good shape actually with the two that we had. Maybe just filling up the trainings that we had available for each.
And we actually had a really low-key meeting, short this past time, so that's all I have.
We haven't met since the last time.
Okay, so Patron Services Committee, we met this past Tuesday, it was March 21st. We actually we went through a lot of things. One of the, so first of all, we approved, and we did this actually electronically after the meeting. We approved chapter 10, Anna, of our training manual. And Anna is going to be working on chapter six. One of the things that we talked about was that some of the libraries are not fully processing their materials, and so they may come in to a library and all they have is a barcode. So we said we recommend that there's at least an identifying mark on the outside and the inside, at least that. So we discussed that. Is that going to?
It's going to the cataloging committee.
Yeah. That's what-
I thought that came from us.
Well,
It came
just
from a
toss it
round
back in
table.
your court.
It came from the round table.
Well, I mean, it came, like, I thought it came from them, went to us, and then went back to them.
Came from the round
We've
table.
talked about it before.
Yes, yes.
It's back.
But
It came up at the round table. You talked about it in December. It did not make it onto the agenda for the Patron Services to
Right.
talk about. So we talked about it again in February. Then the Patron Services Committee talked about it, and they confirmed what your recommendations were, but the recommendations are being written into your procedures.
Oh, okay.
That's why it's going back to you,
Okay, I was like,
Not for
oh, you guys
discussion.
approved this.
but
Okay.
for drafting.
I think you approved it, but I think it had to come back to Patron Services Committee, and we had to have like a little, chit chat about it, so anyway, we're good. I don't know if you had seen the email that I sent out, but one of the things that we discussed was about transits. Some of the materials that were transiting were in disrepair. And so I sent out an email on recommendation of the committee. I composed the email, asked for any changes, and then sent it out. So we talked a lot about making sure that we do not transit materials that really need to go into mending. So.
I had a question, I took with Brandy this, but what happens if we happen to have the only copy and it's in poor condition and that patron really wants it? So how do you handle that?
In that case, what you can do is you can contact the library that you're going to be sending it to, and you can send it with a slip. And I included in the email a slip that says, hey, I realize I'm sending this and it's not, in the greatest of condition. Contact the library that wants it and see if they still really want it. Because, we're in the same situation with our Indiana room, with our genealogy department. Sometimes we have situations where we have the only copy of a local author or something like that. So just call, chit chat,
Okay.
talk to them about it. So, and then we're still Virginia finished up the pest policy. She has sent that out to the Patron Services Committee for review. So we should have a pest policy in place relatively soon.
Is that for like the bed bug issue?
Yeah, you got it.
Not patrons.
Yes, it's just a different pest.
Sorry.
Are they in?
Well, maybe some of the things apply. For that as well.
Maybe not to be asked about it. But have you guys talked about, in your committee, with this issue, having the bed bug late come out with the dog and all that?
That is actually part of the pest policy. It explains that there are particular dogs that can detect this. It's just a recommendation. So, but it is included. In the pest policy she includes some chemical ways of treating the ovens. And then she does also mention the dog.
Is there a thing in that policy about cooking other libraries' materials?
Absolutely. That she mentions in the policy that we do not want to be transiting anything that hasn't been treated. So if you receive something and there's a problem, it should be treated before it's sent back.
Okay.
Do we know, is there a consortium-wide effort to cook the bags? I will tell you, we cook our bags.
We cook ours too.
We cook all of them.
That's
Yeah.
separate.
We cook them separate.
Just the bags.
Never cook the books, just the bags.
Yeah, we can get away with
We
it.
empty the bags and they go right into our cooker.
Yeah, we put them into a plastic bin, they're sealed, taken upstairs and cooked.
And I think most of the ovens will handle an entire bag, usually. I mean, they're pretty big, so. Anna, what,
Oh, I was just gonna say, we've talked about mandating it, and it's not single abstraction just because it is an expense. And we can't mandate how libraries spend money, but we can very strongly recommend and make it very simple to do the research. Yeah. And then maybe a little peer pressure.
Yeah, even if every library that has an oven cooked their bags, it would be helpful.
So we need a list of who's not cooking so we can send a laced bag to
The reason.
Just joking, folks.
The reason I was asking is because we cook all of our transits as they come in, just because we don't know. What's going on.
so regardless of
Unless
whether or
it's
not you,
something.
regardless of whether or not you know that they're in India, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go ahead and cook, it takes 3 months to do it.
And anything that comes in from our patrons as well.
Yeah, we
Anything that's
inspect,
checked
we
out.
don't,
Yeah.
we would never be able to have enough time to
Same
cook
here.
everything.
Stand here.
Small library.
Well, yeah,
We look at
Well,
it.
and that was part of, that was part of the reminder that I sent out. I just, is, look for insight before you transit, in this policy, it explains where is it a procedure or is it a?
It's a procedure.
It's a procedure, it's not a policy. So in the procedure, it explains where you would want to inspect for bugs, because they like to hide in the slime. So it's pretty disgusting to eat the whole procedure.
yeah, we've had to take entire sections down and cook and get the dust in dust.
We've dusted.
Everything, we dust the alcohol, the test stuff. We see one, we actually told patrons they can come back until they provide proof that they've had their premises treated.
Did you know you were infested? How did you know?
Thankfully, we've been the ones that, there's been one case where it was a patron who found it. Mostly it's been us.
We had
Yeah. And we have quarterly inspections, we take it really seriously. Because that's the one thing you don't want getting out about your place, is that you've got bed bugs. Even though it has nothing to do with cleanliness or anything like that, it's just, you don't know.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
All right. I'm going to actually run really fast here because we're supposed to be done in about 10 minutes. So, on the breach insurance, this is still in process. Nancy from Andrews has gotten me some documentation and quotes from actually 2 different vendors as part of it. And so I've got a little more groundwork to lay, but I should have things ready to present to the committee by June. So we'll plan on that. Don't think we have a draft on this yet, right?
Monica and I have kind of gone back and forth.
Okay.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have a draft, I'll send it, I'll have it for the agenda.
Okay, we'll do it then. I just want to let you know, I did, as the EC members should know, they got a survey to identify high-interest development projects for this year. Survey to the community will go out after we get through the conference. And one of the things that was on that list has actually already been implemented. So courtesy notices via text are now live for patrons. Okay. On a new business front, this we may need to table for longer discussion later, particularly since we're still rolling it out, but I wanted to get it out in front of you. I have heard from libraries that have nonfiction collections that currently circulate for 21 days. They do not mind and would prefer if they could retain that period, even on the materials that they are transiting non-locally.
We use a long option of 14 days. So we basically, we decided when I realized that, I was like, oh. So we don't do that for our whole modification collection, just our exercise meetings. So I just made those non-transiting, but yeah. So a long option of 21 days would be.
Not a good fit there. All right, well, this may be something I just need to put out to all of the pilots and get feedback on just how big an impact this would have. But I want to let you know the request had been received and is something that we're keeping in mind as we're working through the pilot phase. Okay, this one is actually a proposal that I would like to start a very serious conversation on, and that is creating a required global stat cap for audience. Right now, when we report on juvenile materials, it's done by approximating using shelving locations. This works fine as long as you can figure out what a given shelving location actually has in it. Some libraries, because they're using geographic locations, second floor, left wing, you don't know if that's going to be children's or not. So what we'd like to do is create this, make it a required field, and do a mass conversion for all of the member libraries. Send out a list of shelving locations, say, what should this shelving location be? Young adult, adult, or juvenile. We'll do all the heavy lifting on the initial conversion, and then going forward, it would be on the cataloging community to add that to their templates, so that is
an attributes
yes,
field.
yes. It'll be in the fourth column in the item attributes editor. The primary way this is going to help is with reporting, but it could also be used for it could be used for reporting in a number of ways. You could look at it from the point of juvenile circulations. You could look at it from the point of juvenile holdings, value of collection for the different age groups. Just trying to figure out how to simplify this, because one of the other things that I've run into several years now since I've started doing the annual report stats, I have libraries that don't want to include their young adult collections in their juvenile circulation counts. And because I want to get those numbers out to the libraries as quickly as possible, I don't have time to run two different versions. This would allow me to run it all at once, and you could pick and choose which you put where. So I didn't know if you wanted to send it to the cataloging committee for review before making any decisions, if you wanted to go ahead and get started with it, if you want to talk about it more.
I think it's a great idea.
Me too.
This year, the LDS was asking all sorts of stuff about young adult stuff, and a lot of it was guesswork.
Yeah, I would ask, is there anyone that would see a problem with it?
We've got some catalogers in the room.
Ask the cataloging committee there.
I mean, I agree that it's a great idea, and I mean, it'll obviously take work to implement based on shelving location. I'm not sure how, we can tell people to do it. I'm not sure how consistently they'll do it.
No, they have to. You can't save a new item.
It's a required field.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. If you can't save a new item without setting it, then then I think.
How do you do that? We can't stop them from making everything adult.
Yeah.
But then they're just gonna have
But
that data.
that's their
Yeah.
problem, yeah.
Yeah,
What
I
about
mean,
existing records? How do you make it?
It's just you can't save it again.
I don't really see a problem with it.
So kind of pull the cataloging.
I think it's a
Oh, no,
good
that's
idea.
what we're,
What I would like
we'll give
more is
somebody a list of all. your
from
locations.
OPAC
You
side
pick which of the three
search.
it is, and then
by that. Well, I guess there is a stat.
But you're gonna.
It's kind of deep though. But I mean, it would be ideal for staff and maybe patrons to be able to limit by
Right,
us.
because that's the point, is to put the-
I was thinking that maybe on the search there was.
Well, I'm gonna show you the size of audience from Mark. It might be developable. but
Anyway, it would be a nice future deal, but I think
being able to report by it first. Okay,
I move that we make the global audience stat cat a required field.
Second.
all in favor?
I'm in favor.
Sorry, okay.
Any opposed?
Well, yeah, one of this is weird.
You're like, that was so easy.
You always do it when we're in time crunch.
Very quickly, we will be taking the first draft of the budget in June, at the June meeting. Are there entries that you would specifically like to see added into that initial proposal?
We're talking about insurance, we should probably add that.
Okay.
More money for more DVD translating cases.
Okay, well, one thing I will mention, things are still a bit up in the air. We are 50% funded by state and federal funds, so we may need a little flexibility, a little more flexibility this next year.
2018 will be the first year where the initial libraries are at 100% membership fee rate.
Yes. So the other 11 members are currently at a discounted, will be at a discounted rate. All right, if you think of anything else, let me know. Like I say, I will have the initial draft ready for you guys to take a look at, hopefully in the pre-meeting package, and we'll be able to talk further then at the June meeting and decide at that point if we're ready for a vote or if you want to wait until August. Last meeting, we talked about the possibility of not holding a conference next year due to limited availability of presenters. So, but when I looked at the dates, I went, it's our 10-year anniversary. We can't not have something. So what I would like to propose instead is that rather than a conference, we hold an anniversary gala. Should be a little lower key. People wouldn't have to worry as much about the prep work. A little easier to put together. We could, depending on how the budget looks at the end of the day, we could go for a more party type space, or we can hold it at the state library if we need to look at a more reasonable fiscal option. So we've got some options, but that would be my recommendation for next year rather than holding a conference.
So has there been talk about doing like a biennial conference rather than doing an annual?
We have talked about it. The challenge is that we are required by the bylaws to hold an annual meeting.
Absolutely.
And in order to ensure that sufficient people are there, we've needed to have the continuing education components.
Sure.
We talked about a conference committee.
Yes, and I did put out a call for members, and Virginia Hilbert did assist with some of the early planning for this year's conference.
Would we consider having a standing, like, we have a cataloging committee, we have a patient
I can
service.
put out a call for more people if someone else wants to help.
Sure.
So, yeah. So, but next year we'll have a party instead.
Absolutely.
All about parties.
I like parties.
All right,
Okay, sounds good.
announcements. Next meeting, we talked about this last time, June 13th.
And it's the morning meeting, it's not afternoon, so
Oh.
everybody can get there. That is the
And then
change.
we swap it with e-content.
And e-content is meeting in the afternoon.
Is that an ongoing thing then?
We'll be discussing that at the June meeting, because then we'll have the new members' schedules to take into account. We may be shifting the date altogether.
Okie dokie. Anything else? Anyone have any things to share? If not, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
So moved. That's my line.
Thank you all.
So now we're doing the 9 a.m. Right?